Introducing the INEOS Grenadier. My name is Ardil and welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we are not messing around. This is about to embark on one epic chemical cardio journey.
So thanks for Ardil for handing this over. This is going to be a very exciting one to do. We've got a big system going into this and I'm going to really enjoy this one. So for the power for the system, we've got two 4-channel Voces and a 5-channel that will be powering all of our system together, and it'll all be controlled by our Virtuoso processor. And that's our power and setup sorted, which then powers our front end, which is going to be a 3-way Thesis setup. This will give us the most clarity and just will sound amazing. To back this up, we have the Legend compact subwoofer. This is going to be going in the boot on the right hand side, and this will sound gorgeous as well. To fill in the rear, we've got a couple of different speakers because the doors only have one speaker in them and not really any place for others. So for the rears, we're going to be putting in the Prima coaxials in the doors. These are from the BMW sets and they should fit nicely in there and work very well. Then also to add a little bit extra, and also so when you open the boot and everything like that, you're going to get some nice sound out in the rear. To go in the boot, we're going to add another little bit of extra level on top of that. We've got the Voce coaxials, a bit bigger, add a bit more punch in the back. However, before we can get to any of this, we need to start with our sound deadening. We're looking at getting 140 sheets in the car, which is a lot. We're going to be fully stripping the car, getting it down to its bare bones, everything out, and we're going to start from scratch. Touch every single panel with a bit of sound deadening and really give us a good start to mount all this in. But apart from that, let's get started. We've already done our inspection video, and now we're going to get to stripping the car and getting to it. So there is nothing left of this vehicle. We have absolutely stripped it to pieces. Only thing left is a couple of bits left on the dash, and they're just markers so that we know where we're putting our stuff. I've already laid a bit of wiring down, got it to here so it's ready for our amplifiers, but we need to get onto the sound deadening. We've already done a bit in the roof here. We've taken the roof out and that is dead. And we started a bit in the boot and we're going to spread that out, keep going, and then go all the way along the floor, get all the plastic paneling along the sides, sound deaden everything, get our doors done, and then we can start moving on to mounting our speakers and sorting everything out. So now that we've sorted our sound deadening, we can move on to our A-pillars. This is going to be a bit of a weird one. We were originally thinking of putting our tweeters in the A-pillars only, and then our mid-ranges somewhere in the dash. There's not really anywhere else to put them in the vehicle, and we started looking at the dash. However, this tape that you can see here is where there are a lot of pieces that are in the way, so there is no room in the dash as well. So we're going to be doing a nice little bit of fun fabricating. And we're going to end up with the mids and the tweets in the A-pillars, which I think is going to look awesome. However, on this side, there's also a grab handle that goes here that is right in our way. So we're going to be relocating that onto the side with a new handle that we're going to buy in. And yeah, well, I'm going to cut these out, get started, and yeah, so figure out how it goes. As you can see, we have been very busy. I'm an absolute state because I've been standing on this all day. This will fit both the mid and the tweeter in here, Still, I've been coming back and forth checking several times to make sure everything still fits perfectly. And with the extra grills on top of that, they'll look really nice in there. So what we've got left to do on this is just add the handle in that the customer requested to keep. Obviously the original OEM handle wouldn't fit, so we've ordered this custom one that we're going to mount ourselves, which actually fits really nicely on the side there and is a bit smaller, so it doesn't look too weird. And then we've got to wrap this up and get it all mounted, get some of the wiring sorted, and then they're all sorted. So we're moving on to the back now. We've got most of it back together just so that we can start to get a general shape that we can work from. We're not looking at the floor right yet. We've got the wires all sorted for that, but we're going to look at the subwoofer for now. This is going to be mounted on the right hand side, on the driver's side of the car. He wanted this out the way because he's going to be putting other stuff in this boot, so this is going to be tucked away on the right hand side. We're going to be forming it to the shape of this panel and bolting it through the panel and into the solid metalwork behind, so we can get a real bass transfer from this to the vehicle. Our subwoofer is of course the 10-inch Hertz Melee Legend, which is going to be creating a lot of bass, especially with a custom box that is going to be bolted straight to the car. It will look and sound amazing. We're also going to be adding some smaller speakers in the back here, the 6.5-inch coaxials. But apart from that, let's get down to it, get onto fiberglass and go from there. Right, so we've just got our fiberglass mold at the back there. As you saw, it didn't come out quite so nicely, but that's not a problem. We've cleaned all that up and got this prepped and ready to build from. I've added a bit of extra filler into the places where we might need a bit of extra strength, and resin and stuff didn't quite penetrate, so I've just added a bit more extra to give it a bit more strength, and now it is solid. We can work from this now because we've got that back mold. We can then build forwards. We've got our flat plane that we can work to, so we don't go too far forwards. So now we need to add our wood frame and then fiberglass from there. For this, we need to get our general volume for our sub though, which requires a little bit of calculations we're going to do. We just need to get a rough guesstimate of the dimensions that we need so that we can build from there, make it bigger or smaller. So yeah, we'll move on to doing a couple of calculations on the whiteboard so that we can cut our wood, get it all prepped and start building from there. Right, we've sorted all of our measurements and now we can get to the fun bit and get it done. Right. So we've built our sub box up. We've got the main sort of shape of it. As you can see, we've got the sub in the middle with slightly indented so that there's not as much speaker sticking out. It'll take it back a bit. We've got the correct volume inside. I haven't added the top so that we could obviously fiberglass nicely inside, but now this is all done, we can then move on to final shaping. I've also added on the side here, it's just roughly glued, a nice little side piece for our 6.5-inch coaxials. This is just a nice little bit of extra fill-in sound in the back, and it'll add a bit more full range. This is just a little add-on the side, should stop just before the mounting points for the rest of the system. I'll then copy this onto the other side for the other 6.5-inch voce, and yeah, let's get the top on, get a hole in the back, get it all plumbed through, and yeah, get it all shaped in nice. So, as you can see, we've got the sub box to a point where it's mostly complete. We know the rough shape, we know everything. We're going to pause there before we fully finish it though. We're going to move on to the amp rack. So as you can see here, I've got a base plate already down. Quickly made that up. It fits perfectly in here to precision. And I've bolted it in 4 separate places with 6 bolts, sorry. This means that it's going to strongly hold to the bottom of the car so that when he's doing all his off-roading, this isn't going to move. Now we can move on to putting our amps in. We've already positioned them in a way that the customer has talked with us about. He came in and we talked through the different positions and how we can set this up because he is going to be adding things on top of this system, so we're going to go for quite a plain design. However, because it's then going to be a sealed box, we need to worry about ventilation. So we're going to be putting fans along the back, we've taken out the panel along the back of the seats to try and get some airflow forwards. We'll be bringing air in and out through the back and keeping air moving through the box that the amplifiers are mounted in. So we can go ahead, mount these in, start looking at making a box to go over the top, and then we can get on with the wires after that. So we are getting to the point of this all being finished. I've built the cover plate to cover this. I've built up some walls along the front and some supports at the front and at the back to bolt down to. We've got 6 bolts holding this down, so now this won't move. That's nicely supported, going to cover the amps nicely. We've also added a bit of a vent in the back, which we're going to cover with a bit of a grille. And we'll carpet all of this to make it look neat and tidy per a customer's request. I've also gone ahead and created this mount on the left hand side here for the coaxial, the 6.5 to match this one. I've followed the exact same shape just on the left hand side, and it keeps everything accessible for him, keeps his mounting points accessible and keeps his jack point accessible. On the right here, we finished this up. I've got my wires gone in, I've sealed it all up on the inside, and this is now complete. I'm going to do a bit of embossing on the top to add our logo in, but apart from that, this is ready to be wrapped. Everything can now come out. I'm going to take everything back out and get everything wrapped. We'll start with probably the floor, and then we can get that back in, start our wiring. Then we'll get these 2 wrapped and get them fully mounted and properly in, and then we can move on to our A-pillars, and they'll be the final piece, and we'll do them in Alcantara and get them looking nice. But apart from that, I think that's it. Let's get to it. Right, now, as you've seen, we've put most of the speakers in the car. We do have the front end, the tweeters and mids ready to go in. These are all built up. They can now go in as the A-pillars. And now we've also got our 6.5-inch woofers in the doors. These also have been mounted with the water guards. These will just create a more seal to the door, direct the sound more out of the door and towards the driver and towards our clients. These actually got quite lucky. We just had to Dremel out a bit of the inside so like a speaker could fit, because it's a little bit bigger, but for the most part it's fit into the original holes. Very nice, very easy, and we've got all our wires nicely put in, and also things like taped up nicely so we're not going to cause any vibrations or anything like that. Any old stuff has been nicely tied down, so everything is nicely loomed in, it's all tight, all secure. So this door card is now ready to go on. Now onto the back, as you can see, we actually have the BMW line coaxials. These, however, have had to be adapted slightly. We've put 3D adapted mountings. These have formed onto the original sort of shape of the door. Carl has done this for us actually, done a brilliant job. And yeah, so now they bolt straight in and they will direct sound nicely out and transfer a lot of sound through. But as I said before, door cards are now ready to go on the back as well. So yeah, we'll move on to getting the A-pillars on, getting the door cards on and getting sorted. So with that, we're all sorted. Now we just need to move on to tuning and finalising the vehicle. There's just a couple of things like checking beeps and bongs work, checking all of our system works, checking all the buttons work and everything, making sure we've not got any warning signs or anything. After that, we can finalise our tuning, make it sound beautiful, hand it over to Ardil for a bit of a final finish and final touch, and to let you guys know how he feels, and then he can hand it over to the customer.
Honestly, what a journey it's been. This is, as far as we're aware, the highest spec INEOS Grenadier sound system ever to be completed. So we challenge you guys at home, if you own one of these cars, let's top this system and let's build another epic one. But let me run you through, firstly, let's go through what was actually in the car from stock. Okay, so these vehicles are very interesting. They've got a lot of kit in them. The button configuration, there's buttons absolutely everywhere. It's like a rocket ship with the spaceship up here. It's absolutely bonkers. However, the audio is incredibly poor. So the system basically comprises of very minimal amount of gear. So obviously, as you guys, if you own one of these cars or seen one of them before, in essence, you'll know all about the functionality, the BMW platform that is kind of based around as such, but the audio system really does struggle, and it's just got fundamental flaws basically. So in the front end of the car, there is no tweeter, there is no mid-range. All it had in there was kind of a 6.5-inch mid-bass in the bottom of the door. It's a coaxial design, so it kind of had the tweeter, but very low down. It's literally kind of where your calf sits. It's incredibly low, and for higher frequencies, they are very directional. Having it aimed at your calf just isn't the right thing. It just sounds absolutely awful, and very low and muddy. There's also no designated sub in the car, and then the rear speakers are a very small coaxial design, again like a little 4-inch in the rear doors, and that is literally it. There's nothing else to it. I mean, it's very bare bones. So I'm sure after this video we're going to be getting lots more of these in, but the difference from where it was is just it's just night and day. Like it's just bonkers. Obviously, you don't necessarily need to go to this level. If you want to go higher, you can do, but this works so nicely. So I want to go through the spec now. Obviously, you've just heard what was in there before, but I want to go through the spec of what we've added and how we've added it. To start with, we're going to start up here. So basically, the custom A-pillars. These are absolutely phenomenal. Really love the design. Basically, on this car, we wanted to build or get a tweeter and a mid-range in, and a client wanted to go for the best he possibly could, so that's why he opted to go for the Audison Thesis range. They are our go-to speaker. It's always my recommendation as long as budget allows for it. They are absolutely phenomenal, and you see it featured plenty of times on our channel because of how phenomenal those components are. However, on the particular vehicle, obviously with it factory from not having a tweeter location and not having a mid-range location, we were trying to choose different areas where we could mount this. So what we decided on, we didn't want to come too far over the actual windscreen, because the windscreen actually on this vehicle is relatively small. You've got quite a lot of glass around you, but the actual height of it is relatively small. So we didn't want to kind of protrude too much from there. So what we actually did and designed was this style. So it's flat facing with a slight angle to it, just to match kind of the contouring and give a little bit of an angle to the speakers. This houses then the Audison Thesis tweeter and the Audison Thesis mid-range. These have been retrimmed in black Milano, really smart, very similar to Alcantara, just has a bit more stretch to it. Very smart design, and also we've got the new Audison grills on there, which look absolutely phenomenal. It's really not obtrusive at all. It does match well because obviously you've got the black with the rest of the vehicle. Obviously we do different materials depending on your choice, but these really do sit in the vehicle well, giving a lot more clarity, moving that stage from literally from where your calves are all the way up to a perfect listening position. You've got your mid-range and tweeter, which are the most directional bit of sound, up on that playing field on top of that dashboard, which sound absolutely bonkers. And it just gives that soundstage such a lift from being down here all the way up to that top and having actual proper components in there as well. What we've also done, obviously in OEM location, is mounted the Audison Thesis 6.5-inch mid-bass driver in the bottom of the door. That is completely hidden, and of course this vehicle has had full vehicle soundproofing. Not only because of the road noise that it has, but also just to build a better environment for the system to work in and get rid of those awful rattles. So that is the front end of the car. We then move over to the rear doors, where we've actually gone for an Audison Prima BMW set. So they're a 4-inch coaxial speaker, adding a little bit of rear fill for those rear passengers. But then our client also wanted to add a little bit of extra rear step. And just obviously with the size of the vehicle, it goes a long way back. Having that extra set of rears, because the rear doors are only a 4-inch in the door. We wanted to keep to an OEM location, not do any fabrication there. But we wanted a little bit more than what a 4-inch could give. So we've actually added, in the rear boot of the car, we've added in custom enclosures the Audison Voce 6.5-inch coaxial design, giving a lot more mid-bass towards the back end of the car, and also just filling the entire car, because you haven't got much mid-bass coming from those 4 inches in the rear doors. Adding in that 6.5-inch gives a hell of a lot more of a difference, and it means the 4 inches can play a little bit higher and give a kind of a real nice surround sound effect. So that is majority of the speakers. We've also got a sub in the vehicle, again, custom enclosure right inside of the boot panel, and that is the Hertz Melee Legend 10-inch sub. They sound absolutely bonkers. The amount of depth that outputs is phenomenal, and it really sets off the rest of the vehicle. Now moving on to the power and brains of the system. The system comprises of 3 amplifiers in the system. You've got 3 Audison Voce amplifiers powering a fully active system, controlling the entire lot, all from that. And then you've got the Audison Bit Virtuoso, which is the flagship Audison processor, which basically controls the entire system and allows us to tune the car and get it to where it needs to be for our client. But that is basically a run through of what has been done. I mean, it has been an absolute monster of a challenge to get all of this gear in exactly how our client wanted it, and every system we do is completely customizable. Every single element of it, it's all fabricated. Everything can be done and designed exactly how it wants to be done for our client. So without further ado, guys, you guys are about to embark on the journey with me. You guys are going to be able to listen to the system as well. However, one thing I just forgot was actually the little controller to control this. We have up in the top panel, obviously you've got all your buttons up here. We've actually flushed in the Audison DRC controller into that location, color coded that to yellow to match the yellow signage that you've got on the top here. And then we've got 2 ways of playing the system. One way is through the factory Apple CarPlay Android Auto system through the INEOS Grenadier unit in here, or we've also added in the high-res streaming Audison Beacon device, so you can actually have 2 ways of streaming music, whether you want to use your CarPlay or you just want to stream straight into the amplifier for a high-res audio file playback, which just makes a world of difference as well. However, most of the time we'll probably be using the CarPlay system, mostly because you've got all your functionality there. However, you do have the option, if you really want to go high res and want to kind of just witness it every single detail, then you have the high res option there, and just by a flick of a button. You've also got sub-level control up here, but it just really looks smart. You can't really tell it's there. You've got a little volume dial up there as well as the volume dial that you've got on the factory system down here. But let's listen to a couple of tracks, and you guys are going to absolutely love this. So controlled. It's all around you as well.
The darkest night is always seen. Wait on the night, they were face to face. I felt about you, you know about me.
I used to dream about money, about a big house, but all I want is you. Your touch of fire when you love me, desirable, the typical. Yeah, all I want is you.
So controlled. That's the thing with big amplifiers, it's just the control you get. Nothing's being stressed out at all.
I may not believe in God, cause the whole damn thing seems pretty odd to me.
Could literally spend all day in here, but we do have to do some other videos today and wrap up a couple of other installs. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video on the INEOS Grenadier Ultimate system. This sounds absolutely incredible, and I challenge you guys at home to beat this system on an INEOS Grenadier. I mean, it's just phenomenal in here. I mean, every element about it is kind of how I would do my own if it was this. If this was my car. The custom A-pillars look absolutely phenomenal. Really love what the boys have done there. And it just suits the vehicle. I mean, everything is bolted, everything is secure, everything is just done to that whole nother level of install that unfortunately we don't get to see too often in our industry. But thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate staying till the very end, and I'm sure you have done so already. Smash that subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one.